I'd imagine it's a constantly busy time at this point. So, the fact you're here and we're talking is it's fab on my end. So thank you.
Great, man. Yeah, no, my pleasure. It feels like now the album's sort of like a month away or whatever. Suddenly all the press has begun proper. So yeah, I'm doing sort of 2 or 3 days of like 2 hours a bunch, 2 hour sections, whatever. So it's quite a lot.
Oh yeah, okay. Am I the last or is there someone after me?
No, you're there's two after you.
Then let's keep this nice and tight so you get a little bit of a breather in between. Matt, listen, it is an absolute pleasure to speak with you. So thank you again for taking the time to do that. We'll
Of
start with
course.
super simple. I just want to know how you're doing today. How are you? And considering it's Friday, had a good week overall?
Hell yeah. I mean, yeah, great week. Busy week. So much stuff going on now. All these tours are getting booked. Obviously press. And we're kind of like, yeah, sorting out a lot of technical stuff for Dinosaur's live show. So it's there's a lot going on, and I'm also producing some other music um, for my wife actually. So a lot's going on. But that's good. That's good. Um,
Plate spinning, but you feel in control and you feel it's enjoyable.
yeah, plate spinning. Don't know if I feel it in control, but doing it anyway.
Well, the end goal for you is nearly in sight, August 22nd, via Mascot Records. Your brand new album, I Felt Better. So I'm going to ask, right at this stage, a few weeks away, where's your head at with it right now?
With the album,
Mm.
just stoked that it's going to be out. You know, it feels good. It's been such a long time, obviously, since we've been around and been releasing music, and that's really what I'm in it for. Just writing new music and putting new music into the world. That's my favorite bit of doing this. Um, so I'm just stoked that finally this record's seen the light of day, and I'm really proud of the record. I really love like every song that's on it. Um, I went through a real process of like, if you were to die tomorrow, what
Mm.
songs would you be like, oh fuck, like I didn't get to put that song out? And these 12 songs are those like, oh, I've got to put that song out. Oh, and I've got to put this song has to be on it. And like, for instance, like Punk Kiss and Sunflower, they're actually, I wrote them quite a long time ago, like years ago. Um, and obviously they've sort of been tweaked, blah blah blah, over the years. But that for me, that I wrote that a long time ago, but they've always stuck in my brain. And every time I've sort of revisited them, I've always been like, God, this is still a great fucking song, and blah
Mm.
blah blah. So it's cool to be getting stuff like that out because they've been waiting in the wings for like years, and now they've seen the light of day.
Yeah, I mean, find me an artist who hasn't got a hard drive somewhere filled with 10 years, 20 years worth of content, right?
Sure, yeah, but it's so important to put that out. It's so important to get it out.
But what has it kind of felt like to do this again? Because obviously the long and winding road to release is complex enough, and it's been 6 years after all since Celebrity Mansion. So the fact you're back and doing this promotion side of things, the winding road, has it overall been enjoyable?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like it's nice, and it's like wild to just be back in it, doing it again, and like obviously we're working with Mascot Records now, and they're absolutely fantastic, and they're real pros and like workers. So it's like, oh fuck yeah, like we're really doing this, and you guys are sort of kicking the doors down, and that's fucking nice.
Mm.
It's good.
Has there been anything like, as part of the build, I mean, anything particularly different this time around that you've enjoyed maybe more than you did in the past
In terms of what specifically?
in terms of promoting the record? This entire process from the moment you first, I guess from the moment you first announce the album is coming out and maybe drop the first single to where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, again, the fact that these songs are just going to be released is kind of the joy of it. So, like any promotion, it's all leading to those songs coming out. So,
Yeah.
whatever I'm doing, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just stoked about them coming out. Obviously, the journey to getting to releasing this record, the journey has been, as you said, long, and it's been pretty tumultuous. It's been a pretty tough journey. So again, it feels really nice to be at this point. Album's
Mm.
about to drop, doing the promo, doing the press. It feels really nice to be at this point because it's like, oh yeah, fuck, you did it, you got here. And that's a kind of reminder. I feel like my resilience has been deeply tested over the past 5, 6 years. And here we are about to release a record, and I'm sort of, even though I'm managing health stuff, I'm definitely back on my feet. So that feels good. I feel like I've
Mm.
achieved something. That feels like a victory for me.
Absolutely. And it's obviously great when the singles start to get out there and people start to hear them and respond and give you feedback because there has been a predominantly positive response to the singles release so far. Does that go some way as to kind of easing your mind as to how you think the full thing might be received?
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, I've been really blown away by the response. And I know that's maybe, I don't know, a cliche that people often say in interviews. I've been blown away by the response. But I genuinely have been. Like, obviously, how I feel about these songs is I love these songs. I'm proud of them. I want them to be out in the world. So if one person likes them and everyone else fucking hates them, or even zero people like them, I would still be like, well, I think that I'm fucking proud of that, and I'm glad it's in the world. So I was kind of thinking on expectation wise on that level. Like, I just want this out to be out in the world. If it fucking bombs, it fucking bombs.
Mm.
But the fact that like overwhelmingly the response has been so positive and people are like, fuck, I love this song or I love that song, it's all different, has actually like sort of stunned me. Like,
Mm.
it's been such a positive response, and I'm so stoked about that. And I really, to answer your question, I really hope that is the vibe of when the album's received. I feel like it probably will be. I don't want to I don't want to put the cart before the horse or anything, but like, I love all the songs on the record. I kind of wish they all could have been singles. Obviously, that's sort of impossible, but in my opinion, they all could be singles. So I'm stoked about what's gonna, what people are gonna think.
Yeah, I feel very fairly confident about this as well. Based on what you're saying there, just so I kind of agree with you. I think there's enough variety in the songs that have been released so far that that gives you an overarching view. There's nothing that's going to shock people, but there is still evolved and interesting and clever and different, but still familiar stuff to
Yeah,
come. So I can't wait to see that response as much as anything else. But we kind of got to go back a bit. We kind of got to go back to really vision and particularly clarity around what you wanted to do with this record. Um,
yeah.
did you have a clear vision for what you wanted the record to be at the start?
Like as a whole, no, because I was thinking about the songs individually. I was thinking about, like I said, like if you were to die tomorrow, what
Mm,
songs would you fucking regret, deeply regret not having seen the live day? And these were the ones. And all of these felt they were sort of they were ready to be released at a time in my life where that felt relevant and sort of meaningful. Obviously, I wrote some of them in close proximity to the record being recorded. I felt better. I don't love nothing and nothing loves me and sick of being down. They were the last three songs I wrote
mm,
just before we recorded it. And so therefore they're quite, relevant to the whole journey of this and story of this record. But then again, like I said, there's songs like Sunflower, Punk Kiss, they're older songs. Even About to Lose It, even though it's sort of relevant to this situation, it has been sort of bubbling for a while. Um, so yeah, like I didn't really have a view for the whole album, as in like
mm.
this album is going to be this, but I knew the songs that I wanted to release, and therefore they sort of becomes the record, obviously, and
Yeah.
and they all sort of they make a they all individually have their own meaning and have their own story or vibe or whatever. But when you put them together as a group, they make a new one that's a kind of a conglomerate, feeling. And that's always kind of interesting to see what that becomes because you never fully know. Like, I don't really write concept albums. I
Mm.
write it's the songs, and they become an album. So it's quite cool to see what picture that paints when it comes to the, you know.
It's effectively building it's puzzles right here. You're putting pieces together, and eventually you start to actually realize, oh, it's supposed to be this, or it looks like this, and this is what I think it's going to be now.
Sure. Yeah. Very much. Kind of. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
But like, so those songs you're revisiting older stuff, older material,
Tweaking.
yeah, tweaking, and tweaking older stuff, and I guess identifying what would be relevant or work for you right now. How did you decide based off what you were listening to or what you were picking out that this felt or vibed what you wanted to do now?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I don't listen to, as a musician and a songwriter, I don't listen to an awful lot of music. Obviously, I do listen to music, but like, I don't know if people would presume that a writer would listen to tons of music all the time, and I really don't. Most of my um, sort of music time, as it were, is me thinking about my own ideas. However, that said, if I've been getting into anything guitar music wise in the last couple of years, it's all been thrash metal, which I love, heavy metal, hardcore. Like it's all been that type of vibe. Um, and I think obviously none of those genres, like I don't know if you would say I Felt Better as a record is any of those genres, but it's definitely influenced by them and has sort of flavors of them. I always think I write pop songs, but I'm
Mm.
influenced by a load of heavy shit. And that is something I love, like that mix of sort of genres or vibes or whatever. And I kind of love that like my songs, like my pop songs or whatever, they have this kind of heavy thing to them. Because I love so many different genres of music. Like I think about and appreciate so many different genres of music, whether it's like real pop music or hip hop or thrash metal or whatever. Like all of that is so interesting to me. And like even if it is a raging thrash song or whatever, I always look
Mm.
at songs as pop songs. So even though the dude's screaming whatever 4 times, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the hook. Like if you can make that relevant to a pop song, you know. So I sort of always think about music like that. So I like throwing genres together, and I feel like I've said this a few times in a couple of interviews, and
Mm.
having articulated it, it's become I'm like, oh yeah, like that's a thing. I feel like through my whole writing career, I was always sort of looking for something, whether I was aware that I was looking for that or not. And I feel like in the last record, and particularly this record, I've sort of started to discover that. And it's that whole mix of the sort of heavy metal, hard rock, thrash thing with like pop and Weezer type vibes and those sort of hip hop elements of Run DMC that I love and Eminem that I love, blah blah blah, and they've all sort of started to merge together
Mm.
and and become a thing, which I'm super stoked about.
Well, it just allows you to be as creative as you want to be, right? Without any limitations, because ultimately you get lumbered in the hilarious overarching genre of alternative, whatever the hell that means,
Yeah,
alternative rock, when obviously, you define genres, you're bending and doing what you kind of want. But that freedom, that comfortability, is that something that you think it's got easier for you to explore with age and time as an experience as an artist?
yeah, I do. I do think that. I feel like I've sort of, as I've matured as a writer, as I've matured as a person, I've sort of become freer. Like, and anything I think is relevant or exciting, I'm open to it, and I'm open to just clashing those ideas together, and that's fine. Like, there's no
Yeah.
sort of, and obviously I have like, um, I know what sort of type of painting I want to create, but how I get there is open. You know,
Yeah.
obviously I'll still make decisions where I might do something when I'm writing in my studio. I might do something that's like, and I'm like, oh no, that's too this or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I'm still mixing a lot of different colors that maybe when I was, for instance, writing my first album, like Growing Pains, I would have never ever considered ever. I'd have been like, "What? That's crazy! Like, what are you doing?" Um, and even if you push that further, like when I was at school, I remember when I was at school musically, I was so tribal. I was like,
Mm.
rock music or die. Pop music sucked. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I was so genre-wise, like so tribal. And the more music I've written, the more I've done, blah blah blah, and the more I love. Like now, I can sort of, I feel like I can tap in better to the stuff I love and the stuff I want to do. I feel like I've become much better at listening to my subconscious mind when it's cooking something and I'm like, oh fuck, something's happening, and then I'll pay attention. Whereas I don't think I used to catch as many ideas as I do now. Like I sort of hear ideas cooking in my head like every day, and I'm very good at sort of paying attention to that and recording them or whatever. Whereas I think that's a real skill that you have to cultivate, being able to pay attention to your subconscious mind and what it's doing. And I think as a younger writer, I was still writing songs, but I feel like I was much more like blinkered, as it were. Do you know what I mean?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it really, really is. It's one of the most fascinating things about that evolution of a person, not even just as an artist, as a person. Because what you said there, I was immediately thinking, God, if I went back to 15-year-old me and said, hey, he's gonna love synthwave when he's in his 40s, that 15-year-old me would have probably pitched a fit. Do you know what I mean?
Right? Yeah, yeah, totally, man, totally. Yeah, synthwave as well. Love it. Absolutely love
Yeah, yeah.
it.
But then, so take that apply what you're talking about there about your evolution, noticing it and listening to yourself to the songs that you wrote later, basically, the last couple before the recording session. That approach to writing, did you then obviously notice a big difference in how you were writing those songs and what you wanted to say?
Do you mean in the songs that I wrote just before the end of the process?
That's it. Yeah.
I guess I did. Yeah, I guess I did because I was, feeling particularly apathetic and, exhausted, and I'd been through this whole thing. And at that time as well, I was, um, it was strange, like going through that whole process, ill health, like that whole struggle, facing mortality, blah, 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 all of that was extremely difficult and very challenging. But surprisingly, and this was something I didn't really expect, the recovery period was sort of equally challenging in a different way. And like, you know, having sort of experienced ego death, returning to sort of my former self, like my former role, the guy in the band, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I don't feel like that guy anymore. And I've been through this whole thing. It was really challenging. I started therapy then, which has made me realize I probably should have started therapy years and years and years ago. But I've started recently. And I guess I was in that headspace. So I guess the sort of the energy that I wanted to get out was relevant to all of that stuff. So it's quite telling that the three songs I wrote was I Felt Better, Sick of Being Down, and I Don't Love Nothing, Nothing Loves Me. Like, um, you know, they're definitely, if you put them in a group, they're definitely sort of a vibe,
Mhm.
um, which is quite interesting. And it was also an interesting process because earlier, um, there was loads of different sections of writing this album. Like obviously, like I said, some of the songs are older, but then some of them I was writing, for the past couple of 4 or 5 years, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and there was loads of different sections of writing, and some of the earlier songs, for instance, About to Lose It, My Way, Big Dogs, some of those funner songs had already been written And we'd started recording them. And at the time, even though we're on Mascot Records now, who are fantastic, at the beginning of that process, we were actually still on Parlophone.
Mm.
And interestingly, the president at the time of Parlophone, who was at A&R, was like, "This isn't what I think you should be doing. This isn't the right direction. I think you need to be very vulnerable about what you've been through and talk about that." And obviously, I hated that suggestion, and like was pissed off that the songs that I'd already done weren't sort of being appreciated, as it were. But when I sat down to try and get some of that stuff out, it was interesting that those three songs, I Felt Better, etc., is what came out. And then after that whole process, I just mixed all of those songs together, My Way, Big Dogs, blah, 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 and then the sort of more vulnerable songs. And that became the picture of the album, which is quite an interesting journey.
I mean, it kind of defines a mind almost to a degree. The good days, bad days, highs, lows, ups and downs. Sometimes you're going to have fun. Sometimes you're going to take a tongue-in-cheek approach to things. Sometimes you're going
Right.
to laugh. Sometimes you want to cry.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to write a type of record. I want just great songs. Whatever those
Mm.
songs are about, that's from the moment when you wrote them and you felt that energy or whatever. And a human has so many different, like a person has so many different sides, so many different feelings, so many different moods and emotions. It's sometimes, I don't know, it's real to write all of this stuff, sad or happy or whatever. That I think that's real. But another thing I think about this record is like there is a lot of frustration in it, whether it's about my health struggles, whether it's about how I felt about society and how we all felt about society over the last couple of years. It's been a pretty rough ride
Mm.
since COVID, and a lot's happened and a lot's changed and stuff. And there is a lot of frustration in the record, but I didn't want it all to be moaning and down in the dumps and bummed out. So it's quite fun for me to hide that sort of stuff in songs like My Way or in songs like Big Dogs or blah blah blah. Like there's always a sort of realer meaning that maybe the song feels like it has. Like they're not just, they sort of feel like party songs, but when you
Mhm.
actually dig deeper into them, there's sort of more material than that. Um, and that's always kind of fun for me to do.
Well, that's the joy as a listener. On a cursory listen, you might get a bounce, a nice peppy chorus, something to dance and move to and sing along to. But when you start to listen to more, you dig into the lyrics, you dig into the content, you get your own meaning from it. That's well, I think a lot of fans, a lot of Dinosaur Pile-Up fans, that's where they get a lot of their joy from. That. I mean, you already see it as well with the singles that were released, the analysis, the people digging into it. It's fun to get those thoughts, I guess. Even if potentially you maybe didn't, you might have felt something different about the song. Do you quite enjoy seeing? Even if it's a completely different perspective, what somebody else takes away from what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I sometimes think that's what it's about, isn't it? Like, I know why I wrote those songs, but that doesn't mean that everyone else has to feel exactly how I feel. Like, it's nice that people interpret them in their way. Sometimes that's why I don't like. Sometimes you have to like, for when you've got the album ready or singles ready or whatever, you have to write a little blurb about what it's about.
Of
And
course.
yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't really want to do that because I want people to hear it and feel how they feel about it. I don't want to have to tell them how they should feel about it. Um, so yeah, I think it's rad when people like interpret stuff in their own way, but it's something that really is pleasing to me as a writer, I guess. For instance, My Way, the
Mm.
verse in My Way that's written about being in a band basically now and being in a band in 2025 and the realities of that and getting paid peanuts by Spotify and blah blah blah. I really enjoyed the fact that like particularly that verse connected with people online and got quite a lot of attention.
Mm.
And as a writer, that I felt stoked about that because I felt like I was able to articulate myself exactly how I wanted to in the way that I wanted to in a kind of fun way and I feel like people really connected with that and they related to it as well, which was super cool to see. I really didn't expect that. So that was awesome.
Yeah, it's an aspect that has become such a harsh and unforgiving reality for just about everybody. Even if you just want to listen to music, you can't get away from it. And everybody's more and more hyper aware of that specific thing. Particularly when they love a band, they love, say, Dinosaur Pile-Up, and we all want you to be successful. But what that means these days is hard to know, particularly as you yourself might have your own meaning of success. So I have
Yeah.
to ask you then, if you were to measure success for this album, what do you think that might look like from your perspective?
Oh wow, interesting question. Um, Success from this album would be, I mean, there's so many different levels, of success, and what is success? Obviously, like success on a personal level for me now is just to be healthy and be able to be at home with my wife and our cats and be able to pay the bills. That's success. Boom.
Yeah.
Um, but so it's hard to answer like what would success for this album be, because obviously it'd be easy to say, well, to sell millions of copies and suddenly everyone can pay their bills and everyone's not stressing about money and we sell loads of tickets, blah blah blah. Like all of that would be absolutely incredible, obviously, and that happens to some bands, and that's some bands' dream, and that is a reality for some people. I guess if that were to happen, I'd be over the moon. But I guess on a base level, what does it mean for this album to be a success? It could just be as much as people people feeling that it's just a well-written album and it's one of their favorite records. I guess my favorite records, Presidents of the United States of America, their debut album. Don't know if you ever heard that, but
Yeah.
it's still to this day one of my favorite records. And Color and the Shape by the Foos, that record particularly, one of my all-time favorite records. Rage Against the Machine, Battle of LA, or Evil Empire. Like, the list goes on. Weezer Blue, blah, blah, blah. But they're my favorite records. And those CDs, when I used to have CDs, I wore them out until the covers were broken and the CDs didn't work anymore and blah, blah, blah. At no point did I ever think like, oh, I wonder how many tickets these guys are selling from the sales of this record. Not once did I ever think that. But I did treasure those records like with my life. They were so important to me, those physical CDs of those albums. And I guess success of this record would be, therefore, if someone felt like that about it, that would be it, because I know how passionately I felt about those albums and still do. And it's so meaningful. It would blow my mind if some kid out there was like, I felt better, changed my fucking life. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that would be amazing.
Well put. Incredible. But that's not the only thing, of course. The album's out August 22nd, as you said, Mascot Records. But alongside that in September, UK tour, Birmingham, Bristol, Glasgow, Manchester, and London. We're out of time, so I'm going to keep this really, really short. We're all going to have a little bit of fun at those shows, right?
Yes, those shows are gonna be fucking great. It's been a long time since we played. We've
Mm.
got a new record. There's so much love from the band to the fans and from the fans to the band. It's just going to be a party. It's going to be amazing. I'm stoked.
Can't wait. Looking forward to seeing you in London. This is my home city.
Hell
But
yeah.
until then, man, I can't wait to see. I can't wait for this record to be out. I just can't wait to see what people think, and just get it in people's ears and just hear those responses. But until then, I hope you enjoy the journey. Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me. I appreciate it.
Carl, you too, man. Thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.